From the W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications, your home for the latest Marshall University news. You're watching MU Report.
Good afternoon and welcome to MU Report. This newscast is coming to you from the studios of Marshall University with news from around the campus and community. I'm Tom Jenkins.
And I'm Kasalim. We are glad you're joining us here on West Virginia Public Broadcasting and our YouTube channel. Now on to our top story. A Marshall student who died recently is being remembered for his dedication to his studies, family, and friends. Reporter Breon Taylor is following the story of Mitchell Higgins' death. Breon joins us from the scene with more.
Thanks, guys. Search teams recovered the body of Marshall University student Mitchell Higgins along the Guyandotte River in Cabell County earlier this month. Police say that Higgins crashed his car on the I-64 bridge located behind me. According to police, Higgins' body was found after a homeowner spotted it in a river debris pile behind his home on Guyan River Road. They believe Higgins may have had trauma from the crash, was dazed and confused, and didn't realize there was such a steep drop.
You know, it's just a terrible waste when a young person dies because his family, his community won't get the benefit of his contributions. I mean, it's just that simple.
For not only his family, but for just his classmates and his friends, it's just so devastating because he was so close to being in his career and starting his life, and this tragedy took that away from him.
President Gilbert released a statement sending his thoughts and prayers to the Higgins family. For now, Breon Taylor, MU Report. Back.
Marshall says Higgins was 22 years old. He studied history and he was a senior. Police say Higgins died February 7th.
From our lead story, we now move to the political. To Charleston, where Feel the Burn was once again being shouted in the streets. Vermont Senator and former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders made a stop in West Virginia's capital city to talk about his book and the future of the nation. Senator Bernie Sanders would return to West Virginia to promote his book titled Our Revolution and continue to spread his message of progression. The last time the Vermont senator spoke in West Virginia was in Huntington last April while he was campaigning during the presidential primaries.
And we held a very moving town meeting. You know, during your campaign you hold hundreds and hundreds of meetings, but that's one that was memorable for me. Because as all of you know, that part of the state, part of the country has a whole lot of problems in terms of high unemployment, in terms of very serious opiate addiction, schools not adequately funded, but I was enormously impressed by the dignity and the courage of the people there who stood up, who talked about the issues, who talked about a new future.
Over 2,000 people were in attendance at the Charleston Municipal Auditorium, many of whom are still Sanders supporters and want to see his message conveyed in Washington. Marshall University students were in attendance and found Sanders' message of being involved in government as something important for the future of politics.
Get involved. So what if you lose? You'll win the next time.
I think everyone should get into politics in some form or another, even if it's just finding some kind of local cause or community group to help out in any way they can.
Sanders and his fellow Democrats will have a lot on their plate with a Republican majority House and a new Trump administration. But for now, Sanders will continue to push his progressive platform. Tom Jenkins, MU Report.
For many students, finding time to eat in between classes can be a bit challenging. In fact, many will tell you they simply skip out. Well, as Chantal Foster explains, getting a meal just got a bit easier with a new smartphone app called Tap and Go.
When asked if they've heard about the Tap and Go app, many students answered,
I have not.
With the tap of a finger, food can be ready in the blink of an eye. Marshall has now paired with the Tap and Go app where anybody on campus can order food ahead of time, and it allows them to stay on schedule.
I think it's definitely helpful as far as getting to class on time, especially when you have several classes in a row and you're hungry or thirsty or you need your coffee or whatever. You can run in and run out and not have to worry about being late for class versus standing in line for 15 minutes.
Tap and Go will order ahead for any of the restaurants in the Student Center, including Starbucks. The Drinko coffee shop is also participating in this speedy service to keep people on their way and out of those long lines. That seems to be the part that most students are excited about.
I mean, I think it's stressful sometimes, trying to get to class, trying to fit everything in your schedule. I have a really busy schedule, so I kind of eat whenever I can eat, and just having the app, you don't have to wait around. You can just get whatever you need to get and go on your way, so it doesn't take up a lot of time.
Coffee to go with a simple click of a button gives you more time to be where you want to be. Chantel Foster, MU Report.
February marks Black History Month, and for the city of Huntington, that's also special because it was once home to the father of Black history, Carter G. Woodson. As Danielle Wright reports, Marshall and the city have created a new way to honor Woodson.
Many students may not be aware that the founder of Black history actually got his start here in Huntington. Just down the road, actually. Carter G. Woodson's connection to Marshall run deep, too. The Woodson professor, Bernice Morris, recently launched an educational and money-raising project called the Lyceum.
The Lyceum will support scholarships for minorities and disadvantaged students and encourage full participation of all groups and individuals seeking the American dream.
Don't let the unfamiliar word throw you off. It is from the Greek Educational Academy, inspired by Aristotle's school. At Marshall, like in Greece, the Academy is going to be a place for ideas, information, and interests. And most of that interest is around Carter Woodson.
Our first program would be one of helping educators, but our long-term vision is much broader. It requires building partnerships, and it strives to be a clearinghouse for all things Woodson. It's exciting for us to launch this, and we hope that you share our enthusiasm and our hopes for growth in the future.
The West Virginia Humanities Council awarded the Lyceum a $20,035 grant for the Dr. Carter G. Woodson Lyceum Summer Program for Black History Instruction, which will run over 4 days. With the support of various Marshall programs, the Lyceum was able to sponsor a 2017 Black History Month poster contest. 2 honorable mentions were awarded $50 each, and the winner, $100. Danielle Wright, MU Report.
Thanks, Danielle. Events for the Lyceum are going on throughout the month.
One of those events was the Carter G. Woodson Annual Soul Food Feast, which highlights African American traditions and cuisines while bringing family and friends together for Black History Month.
The Carter G. Woodson Annual Soul Food Feast gives the Marshall community a reason to celebrate and indulge in African American traditions and cuisine in the month of February, which is also better known as the Black History Month.
For me personally, it just makes me remember the whole old times of Thanksgiving, or just coming together, just having that Sunday home cooked meal, with family, and just sitting around with cousins and just having a good time.
And I can tell you, growing up, I didn't realize, but I do now, how beautifully the African American culture was intertwined with the white culture in the South. And I can tell you that soul food is really American food, at least in the South.
The feast is a part of African American history celebration named after Woodson, a former resident of Huntington, also the founder of Black History Month. It also depicts the African American traditions of family unity.
So this is why we celebrate it here today, is because we want to build unity, because all of you are brothers and sisters, all of you are our cousins. And it doesn't matter where you come from or what you look like.
As the university strives to be a more diverse and inclusive community, gatherings like this will only move Marshall a step closer to that goal. Kasalim, MU Report.
Changing a life, even saving someone's life, may be easier to do than you think. And in the case of this next story, it only took Marshall students about 10 minutes in between classes, as Chantel Foster has more.
February 15th is more than just another day. It's a chance to make a difference in somebody else's life that struggles to have what others can so easily give. Be Involved, Transplant Hope explains it all when it comes to being a bone marrow donor.
For the most part, almost all donations are done through the same system as giving blood would be done. So they filter out the parts that they don't need and keep the parts that they do need. So it's relatively painless and it's pretty easy to do, and then you can save a life really quickly.
Be the Match is partnering with the Marshall Student Nurses Association from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. on February 15th to have a marrow donor registry drive. This is all happening in the Student Center in the Don Morris Room, where students, faculty, staff, or anybody who wants to save a life can stop by. All it takes is some paperwork, a cheek swab, and about 10 minutes.
I know several people, like I said, personally, that could benefit from this, and just the fact that I could do something for them or for their family members or friends, it makes me feel good, and I think it's nice that I feel like that because I can hopefully spread that feeling to other people and try to get them to try to donate.
This experience is not painful as many others may think, but yet inspiring. The odds of matching a patient are slim, but this is still an opportunity to be everything somebody else needs. Chantel Foster, MU Report.
Thanks again, Chantel. You can learn more about the campaign called Be the Match at bethematch.org.
Jake Griffiths joins us now for a look at what happened this weekend in the Marshall Athletics. Jake, how did the herd fare?
Well, Cassell, I know I'm rocking the Mr. Rogers cardigan, but let me tell you what, it was not a beautiful day in the neighborhood for the Marshall women's basketball team this past weekend. The Herd desperately seeking a win to snap their 3-game losing streak. Nothing is going right now for Matt Daniels' women's squad. They were home this past Saturday against rival Western Kentucky, again looking to snap that 3-game losing skid. You know what time it is. Let's take a look at those highlights and find out what happened. Now early on, it looked as if Marshall may do just that, break that 3-game losing skid, as the Herd really gave the Hilltoppers a run for their money, even leading at points in the first and second quarters and early on in the third. But there was a huge momentum swing in the midway point of that third quarter. Taylor Porter gets called for a technical foul. Ivy Brown goes to the line, clutch, knocks down both free throws, and from then on, the Herd were just ice cold. In fact, the only thing colder than Marshall in that second half, a Michael Jackson moonwalk. The WKU offense, too much, and the Tops dominate the final frame en route to a 78-64 win. Marshall drops their 4th straight contest. Head coach Matt Daniel after the game.
We're trying to fight our way back to Birmingham at this point, and we've got to figure out a way to try and play better basketball and make less mental errors.
The ladies head south to Birmingham for a Thursday matchup with UAB this week. Now, the Marshall men's basketball team was also in action this past weekend, traveling to Bowling Green to take on none other than the Tops of Western Kentucky. The men upended the Tops 84-79 the final. John Elmore had 32 points. That snaps the 3-game losing skid for MU. Marshall will be back at home Thursday and Saturday nights for nationally televised games against Alabama, Birmingham, and Middle Tennessee, respectively. You can catch Thursday's game on CBS and Saturday's game against the Blue Raiders on the American Sports Network. And other Marshall action here in the River and Rail City, the track and field team hosted their final home meet of the season, the Chipotle Invitational. Per usual, the Herd were pretty successful at the Chris Klein Indoor Athletic Facility, breaking a few school records to boot. Elena Marchand broke the school shot put record with a toss of 49 feet 9 inches. Hope Yulmisti took second in the 60-meter dash, recording the 8th fastest time in Conference USA this season at 7.59 seconds. Track and field heads to Hotlanta next for their upcoming meet. It's the Conference USA Championships from February 18th through the 19th. That's all for sports. Back to you guys.
That's all the time we have for this edition of MU Report. This show will air on our YouTube channel and on the Marshall Parthenon website. And we're always looking for news that affects the Marshall campus and community. Thanks for tuning into this episode of MU Report, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks on West Virginia Public Broadcasting and sooner on the web. I'm Tom Jenkins.
And I'm Kasalim. Have a great day.